प्रिय मित्रांनो, ही यूट्यूब साईट सादर करताना आम्हाला अतिशय आनंद होत आहे. या यूट्यूब साईटवर तुम्हाला आगळे वेगळे रोचक वेधक वाचनीय आणि काहीसे रोमॅन्टिक जीवनाशी प्रत्यक्ष जोडणारे साहित्य जसे कथा, कादंबऱ्या, कविता, वैचारिक लेख तुमच्या भेटीला येणार आहेत. तुम्ही ही यूट्यूब साईट अवश्य लाईक करा आणि सबस्क्राईब करा. तुमच्या जिवलग मित्रांना ही यूट्यूब साईट फॉरवर्ड करायला विसरू नका. धन्यवाद.
The timeless wisdom told by the great Lord Shri Krishna to his noble disciple Arjuna, brought to you first time in the 13th century by Shri Dnyaneshwari in the form of resuming poetry with esteemed Lord Shri Krishna's avatar, that is incarnation, Shri Vitthala's blessings. The magnificent epic Dnyaneshwari in Marathi, now translated in English by Shri Rajeev Thatte, with the blessings of Yogashri Shri Thatte. संत ज्ञानेश्वर. Sant Dnyaneshwar was the second of the four children of Vitthal Panta and Rukminibai Kulkarni, a pious couple from the village Apekav near Paitan in Maharashtra on the banks of river Godavari. Vitthal Panta studied Vedas and Shastras and became well versed in them at a very young age. Being extremely pious and detached towards worldly matters, he spent much of his time on pilgrimages. During one of the pilgrimages, he visited Alandi, about 30 kilometers from Pune, and camped in the local Hanuman temple. Siddhopanta, a local Brahmin, was very much impressed with the youth and thought him as suitable match for his daughter Rukmini. He met Vitthal Panta and after making inquiries proposed the marriage. Not having any interest in setting up a family, Vitthal Panta declined, but because of instructions received in a vision, he later consented. After marriage, Vitthal Panta remained at Alandi for some time, but due to his lack of interest in the family life, his father-in-law took him to Apekav, where Vitthal Panta's father, Govinda Panta, and mother were happy to see their married son. Unfortunately, both of them passed away shortly thereafter, leaving the family responsibility to Vitthal Panta, who could not make up the two ends meet due to his disinterest in the worldly matters. Finally, Siddhopanta took the couple back to Alandi under his shelter. But that did not make any difference to Vitthal Panta, who one fine day went for bath on the river and instead of returning home went to Varanasi. In Varanasi, Vittal met great Santa Ramananda Swami. Suppressing the fact that he was a married person, he requested Ramananda Swami to be accepted as a disciple and to be initiated as a sannyasi. Now, according to the rules, a married person cannot become a sannyasi unless he is permitted by his wife. The ritual of adopting the sannyas requires undergoing the rituals performed for a dead person. All his past is supposed to be erased and he is given a new name. Vittal was renamed as Dnyaneshwari. One day, Ramananda Swami set upon a pilgrimage to Rameshwar and on the way halted at Adhyay. While he was camping there, Rukmini Bai, who now spent her time in worship and other spiritual preoccupations, to drown her grief, went to Ramananda Swami, who uttered the word of blessings to her, Putravati Bhava, or may you have a children. Rukmini Bai started laughing at these words and when asked to explain, told Swamiji the situation that her husband had deserted her. Swamiji probed her and realized that description of her husband fitted his disciple Dnyaneshwari. According to Shastras, he was also to blame for having initiated Vittal. He immediately abandoned the pilgrimage and returned to Varanasi and accosted Dnyaneshwari, who confessed to his guilt. He ordered Dnyaneshwari immediately to return to his wife and establish a family. Vittal returned to Alandi but was excommunicated from the community because it was unheard of and against Shastras to abandon sannyas and adopt a family life again. Vittal managed to spend his time in study of Vedas and Shastras. In the course of time, 4 children were born to the couple. Nivrutti in the year 1273, Dhanadev or Dnyaneshwar in 1275, Sopan in 1277, and the fourth, a daughter, Muktabai, in 1279. Everything was fine until Nivrutti was 7 years old, which is the time when a boy of Brahmin parentage has to undergo third ceremony and be inducted as a Brahmin. He approached the Brahmins of Alandi to be permitted to perform the third ceremony, but the conservative Orthodox community refused. In the state of extreme distress, Vittal went to Tambakeshwar near Nasik with his family for performing worship at Shiva temple. Tambakeshwar is one of the 12 Jyotirlingas or luminary lingas of Lord Shiva. While they had gone for performing pradakshina of temple, one night they encountered a ferocious tiger. In the 13th century, the area was a deep forest. The members of the family ran helter-skelter and were dispersed. Nivrutti wandered into a cave in the Anjani mountains where Nath, one of the 9 Nathas, was staying for some time. He was attracted towards Nivrutti and in spite of his young age, initiated him to Natha Sampradaya, assigning him the mantra Ramakrishna Hari, instructing him to propagate the devotion to Shri Krishna. That is how Nivrutti became Nivrutti Nath. The matter of excommunication did not affect this because the Natha Sampradaya does not bother about caste system, and though socially it may be observed, it is ignored in spiritual matters. All the 4 children were very intelligent and pious. They studied the Vedas and Shastras under their father, but because they were excommunicated, they could not join the Brahmin community or study in the schools run by them. In desperation, Vitthal Panta went to Apekav and appealed to the Brahmins there, who, after studying the Shastras, opinion that death was the only atonement for the sin. In a hopeless state of mind, Vitthal Panta and Rukminibai abandoned their children at Apekav, travelled to Prayag and drowned themselves in the river Ganga. The orphan children somehow grew up begging for dry alms from sympathetic people which they would cook and eat. In the course of time, they too approached the Brahmin community of Paitan to accept them as Brahmins after whatever purification rites necessary, but the Brahmin community refused once again. However, considering the excellent behavior of the children and their learning, they permitted them to live in the community on the condition that they will observe celibacy, that is brahmacharya, and produce no progeny, that is santati. This was in 1287 when Dhanadev was 12 years old. About this time, Nivrutti Nath initiated Dnyanadeva into the Natha Sampradaya and instructed him to write a commentary on Gita. Thus, we have a unique situation of a 14-year-old guru instructing his 12-year-old disciple to write something which has become the hope of humanity. The children moved to Nivasa, a village in Nagar district on the banks of Pravara river. There, Dnyanadeva began his commentary on the Gita. He used to give a discourse on it to a group of seekers, some of them belonging to the Natha Sampradaya, but were many followers of the path of devotion. A local devotee by name Sachidananda Baba wrote down whatever Dnyanadeva said. A prominent person amongst the audience was the Santa Namadeva, known for the miracles where Vithoba, the presiding deity of Pandharpur, had eaten the food offering brought by Namadeva when he was a mere boy. Dnyanadeva and Namadeva had met earlier at Pandharpur and developed mutual friendship. There is a legend regarding Sachidananda Baba mentioning above. On the day Nivrutti Nath, Dnyanadeva, etc. entered Nivasa, Sachidananda Baba had died and was being carried to the cremation ground accompanied by his wife Sodamini, who wanted to commit sati. Somebody suggested that a Santa has come and she should get his blessings before going as a sati. She found Dhanadeva sitting in meditation under a tree. She bowed to him when he blessed her with the words Akhanda Saubhagyavati Bhava, meaning, may you never be a widow. When he came out of meditation, he realized the odd situation, but praying to God and Guru and using his powers, he brought back Satchidananda Baba to life. The latter remained his devotee for whole life. Dhanadeva started his commentary, which he called Bhavartha Deepika, in the year 1287, when he was merely 12 years old. He finished it in 2.5 years later in 1290. By that time, he had developed a great friendship with Namdev. He had also realized that the path of yoga on which the Nasa Sampradaya gives a great stress could not easily followed by everyone, and the path of devotion was the key for all seekers, irrespective of his or her caste, creed, or gender. Perhaps he was influenced in this by Namdeva, who was a tailor by profession and therefore traditionally belonged to Shudra caste. Shortly after the completion of Bhavartha Deepika, Dhanadev joined the Varkari movement, probably under the influence of Namdev, and virtually became their leader. The Varkari Sampradaya or movement is known by the name because it is considered essential to visit Pandharpur at least twice a year on the two Ekadashis, 11 day by lunar calendar in Ashad, which falls sometimes in August, and Kartik, which falls sometimes in November months. It is a path of devotion to Vithoba, the presiding deity of Pandharpur, who is same as Sri Krishna. Peculiarity of this deity at Pandharpur is that it wears a crown with Shivalinga on it, thus linking the Shivites and Vaishnavites. This deity used to be in Karnataka and was later brought to Pandharpur. For the sake of devotees, Dhanadeva wrote Amrutanabhava, again in verse, from dealing with spiritual and devotional topics. The commentary was renamed as Dnyaneshwari later. Both Dnyaneshwari and Amrutanabhava also are holy texts of Varkari Sampradaya today. Dhanadeva then accompanied to Namdeva and several other followers of devotee paths like Sautamari, began a pilgrimage of all the holy places of North, East, West India. Immediately after returning to Alandi, Dhanadev in 1296 expressed his desire to leave his body by taking Samadhi. He chose the 13th day of the dark fortnight of Kartik for the final Samadhi. People gathered and had final round of bhajans, etc. Dhanadev embraced his brothers and sister and close friends like Namdev. With tears in the eyes of all, he entered the cave and sat in the yogic posture. The cave was sealed by a stone, and Dhanadeva left his body by yogic process. Dhanadeva was only 21 years old at which he took samadhi. Within a year and a half of this event, his brothers and sister also left the material world. Sopandev took samadhi at Saswad near Pune. Nivruttinath travelled with his sister on pilgrimage along the Tapi river, where both were caught one day in thunderstorm. In the roar of thunder, rain and lightning, Muktabai vanished without trace. Soon after, Nivruttinath took samadhi at Trambakeshwar. Thus was the end of unusual family who enlightened the world spiritually and continue to do so even today. All the children were highly spiritually evolved persons. Muktabai, even as she was in her teens, became guru to a highly accomplished yogi named Sangdev, who was believed to be several centuries old. Soon after this, Muslim invasion of India started and affected the religious and spiritual life of India, ending a spiritually golden era. It became progressively difficult to venture upon wari and pilgrimages. But copies of Dnyaneshwari were preserved by many families and were read regularly. In the course of copying, and probably due to additions of their own works, many copies got corrupted. 300 years later, in 1584, Sant Eknath collected several available copies and, after careful studies, prepared a good copy as free of corrupt text as possible. Even today, different copies available show slight differences in their contents as regards the same words and hence the same meaning, and also the number of ovis. But that is not a very serious matter except to a historian. Dnyaneshwari's importance in today's world. 1. Spiritual legacy. Dnyaneshwari is a commentary on Bhagavad Gita, remains a timeless spiritual and philosophical classics. It offers profound insight into the teachings of Lord Krishna and is a guide for seekers of spiritual wisdom and self-realization. 2. Interfaith relevance. Dnyaneshwari transcends religious boundaries. Its universal teaching of love, compassion, and self-realization resonate with people of all faiths. In today's world, where interfaith dialogue and understanding are crucial, Dnyaneshwari's teachings can be a source of harmony and unity. 3. Cultural and literary treasure. Dnyaneshwari is a masterpiece of Marathi literature. It has contributed significantly to the development of Marathi language and culture. Its literary and poetic excellence continues to inspire writers and poets even today. 4. Social reforms. Dnyaneshwar's life and writings advocated social reforms and the upliftment of the marginalized. His experiences with the mistreatment of his family due to societal prejudice may make him a symbol of fighting against discrimination, resonating with contemporary struggle for social justice. 5. Educational value. Dnyaneshwari is widely studied in educational institutes. Its philosophical depth and poetic beauty makes it a valuable resource for students and scholars exploring Indian philosophy and literature. Dnyaneshwar and his family's tragic history reflect the struggle of their time, but their enduring legacy continues to inspire people today. Dnyaneshwari, in particular, stands as a timeless work of spirituality, philosophy, and literature, offering guidance and wisdom that remains relevant in the modern world. I, myself, Rajeev Thatte, born in the family of great yoga Shri Thatte, took this task of translating the Dnyaneshwari in English in rhythmic poetic form. These sincere efforts done by me will be appreciated by the masses and classes alike. Thanks to the listeners a lot. What is Dnyaneshwari? Dnyaneshwari, a poetic gem, let me share in a rhythmic verses its essence laid bare. Born in the 13th century, Dnyaneshwara's might, his commentary on Gita, a beacon of light, a timeless scripture in Marathi shines, a jewel of wisdom in poetic lines. Krishna's teaching in verses so deep, in Dnyaneshwari's embrace, their secrets will keep. Interpreting the Gita, he showed us the way to inner peace where souls finds its say. Inspirational and universal, it transcends kids, the spiritual guide for all who seeks what they need. Marathi culture enriched by its grace, a literary treasure, a cultural embrace. Dnyaneshwari, a voice for social reform against the discrimination it dared to perform. In classroom and hearts, its wisdom does flow, a legacy that continues to grow. So, Dnyaneshwari, a gift to humanity's core, in rhythmic poetry, its essence we adore. Even the Mahatmas who have taken Samadhi alive are dying of natural causes over time. But in this Sanjeevan Samadhi, there is no death. This process of Sanjeevan Samadhi is a very complex and extraordinary. Although the process is known to many Mahatmas of Nasa Sampradaya by grace of Sadguru, only by the order of Lord Bhagwan, only Shri Dnyaneshwari Maharaj has adopted that process and attended Sanjeevan Samadhi. It is a privilege reserved for all Mahatmas, exclusively reserved for Shri Dnyaneshwari Mauli. Sri Santa Namdev Maharaj has hinted at the process of Sanjeevan Samadhi in his Abhanga of Mauli Samadhi. There is another chapter in the saga of Shri Namadevaraya called Shri Dhanadev Samadhi Mahima. In it, Lord Shri Pandrinath himself is narrating the greatness of Shri Mauli and his Samadhi at the loving request of all the Santas. In this case, also some special references are found. Referring to Samadhi of Shri Sopandeva in it, Sri Panduranga says that his death did not take place in Mauli's resurrection Samadhi. This is what the gods are always pointing out here. Sanjeevan Samadhi of Shri Sant Dnyaneshwari Maharaj. The process of Sanjeevan Samadhi. Special about Sanjeevan Samadhi of Sadguru Shri Dnyaneshwari Mauli. When Sadguru Shri Mauli asked the Lord for permission of Samadhi, the gods informed him of his place in Alandi, Maharashtra. This is not to say that Dnyaneshwari Maharaj did not know it, as it is method he asked the God about it. Mauli abode is Samadhi Vivara under Nandi, vehicle of Lord Shiva, in front of Siddheshwar temple in Alandi. There he has performed Samadhi 108 times before, and this was his 90th time to perform Samadhi, says Namadeva Maharaj. From there they come back again and again. According to gods, when Nandi was moved, the bottom hole was opened. All the four sons of Namadeva Maharaj cleaned it and put Mrugarjin, etc. on the fourth of it and made all preparations for Samadhi. On previous day, on Kartik Krishna Dwadashi, the real draw prepared the divine food by hands and gave it to Dnyaneshwari Mauli himself. Due to that nectar food, nectar was formed all over the body inside Dnyaneshwari Mauli. When Mauli was worshipped in the morning of Kartik Krishna Tiradashi, Shri Niruttinath on one hand and Shri Bhagavanta on the other hand took Mauli inside Samadhi Vivara. He is sitting on the seat there. Shri Dnyaneshwari Maharaj wiped his eyes and greeted him 3 times, applied Bhima Mudra and went to Sanjeevan Samadhi. Then Lord Vithala and Shri Niruttinath came out of that place. In order to attain Sanjeevan Samadhi, the principles are rhythmic in Natha Sampradaya method. When Sadguru Shri Mauli started reciting these principles in the same manner after sitting in the Samadhi Vivara, the process was witnessed by all santas present. The rhythm of earth was in water, water was in fire, fire was in air, and air was in the rhythm. Since the rhythm of the sky does not happen in anything, it is a harmony of the sky with Bhagavati Shakti Chiraksha. The saints present witness the process by taking place on the body of Shri Dnyaneshwari Maharaj. As the earth and water met the rhythm, the gross body part of Sri Dnyaneshwari disappeared and was replaced by a glorious adol. When the dance also got in rhythm, the dance it also disappeared and only percussion remained. When that aerodynamic rhythm was also found, its rhythm in the sky, the sound also subsided, and everyone understood that the process of circulation samadhi of Sant Dnyaneshwar Maharaj was completed. Sanjeevan Samadhi does not mean that Sant Dnyaneshwar Maharaj died. On the contrary, they can come back to the body whenever they want. Then they will see again as they were before Samadhi. In the form of Sanjeevan Samadhi, they have become universal. This is the big difference between living Samadhi and recirculation Samadhi. According to the rule of Jata Sahi Dhruvo Mrityu, there is Sanskrit shloka, the five material body of Mahatma who has taken Samadhi alive disintegrates over time because he has not disappeared because of the rhythm of such principles. Due to lack of this information, people generally call living Samadhi as Sanjeevan Samadhi. But till today only and only Lord Dnyaneshwar Mauli has taken such recirculation Samadhi. That is why this Sanjeevan Samadhi of Sadguru Dnyaneshwar Maharaj is said to be a unique one. The only difference is the real difference between the two. The famous pilgrimage of Varkari Sampradaya. This is a unique Sanjeevan Samadhi in India. This is why Shri Santa Mahatma calls Shri Kshetra Anandi and Sadguru Shri Dnyaneshwar Maharaj Samadhi Nitya Tirtha. It is a timeless pilgrimage that will never be destroyed. That is why it is perpetual pilgrimage. Sri Mauli Samadhi Vivara, that is, place is on a subtle level. There is no metaphysics at all. So, our five physical bodies are of no use to get there. Only the divine body can enter there. This tombstone has no touch of time. Since time did not work there, the flowers that flowed inside at that time are still blooming as it is today. Offering of Panchakarya kept at that time is the same even though it has been reversed for 750 years. By the grace of Sadguru Shri Dnyaneshwar Maharaj, the good fortune of entering the Samadhi river has been bestowed only on handful of virtuous people till date. But the surprise is that the reception of the inner appearance given by all these Mahatmas is literally the same. See Santa Janabai experience about Sanjeevan Samadhi. Sri Santa Janabai was not present at the Samadhi Sohla. So when time after that Mauli has shown her the whole ceremony of Sanjeevan Samadhi in a divine way again. Shri Santa Dnyaneshwar Maharaj has a only love for him, which is why he did this wonderful Leela for Janabai. We all know the story of Shri Santa Eknath Maharaj. He had gone to this mausoleum to cut the roots of Ajahn tree which pierced Mauli's neck about 200 years ago. Sri Santa Vithabai Maharaj, a disciple of Sri Chidambaram Mahaswami, got this good fortune by grace of Dnyaneshwari Mauli. Since Lord Sadguru Sri Dnyaneshwari Maharaj is a perpetual incarnation, he is still in the same form today and bestowing grace on his devotees. In Kali Yuga, God is only Dnyaneshwari Maharaj. Just as Sadguru Sri Mauli is a unique incarnation, so is his Sanjeevan Samadhi a unique one. Just like them. Supernatural, wonderful, indescribable, and unparalleled compassion. There is no doubt that we have the opportunity and the wisdom, his divine character, and to read his contemporary literature, to meditate on it, which is a sign of Dnyaneshwari Mauli's wonderful grace on us. What happens to the body after taking Sanjeevan Samadhi? By Sri Santa Dnyaneshwari Maharaj. What is the importance of Sanjeevan Samadhi? What is Sanjeevan Samadhi? The last desire for the goal or the present or permanence of the true seeker of Nath Sampradaya is the state of Samadhi. But the natural difference between living Samadhi and resurrection Samadhi is in this para. Sadguru Sri Dnyaneshwari Maharaj is a unique incarnation of Vishnu. All of these things are very supernatural. Just as his birth is supernatural, so his resurrection Samadhi is unique. Today, only Sri Dnyaneshwari Maharaj has taken this special Sanjeevan Samadhi in this world. Usually, people confuse living Samadhi and Sanjeevan Samadhi. Therefore, if a Mahatma has taken Samadhi alive, people call it Sanjeevan Samadhi. In fact, Sanjeevan Samadhi is very different from living Samadhi. Dnyaneshwari, Adhyay 1. Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Salutation to Lord Ganesha, the divine grace, the Vedas proclaim a celestial chase. All hail the sacred, profound and pure, the soul's reflection, let our spirits endure. Ganesha, the deity, wisdom so light, so bright, guiding every thought with his radiant might. He is the essence of every sacred word. In his form, perfection beings unfurled. Each part of him is a verse you see, embracing all in a perfect harmony. He is essence of every sculptures and kid. In his presence, our souls can truly feed. 18 Puranas adorned with his grace, his wisdom and gems of knowledge we embrace. He wins the fabric of literature so grand, ushering forth the radiant literary land. The stage of culture, the town's center stage, where the literature and wisdom engage. A poetic play where meanings entwine. In the illumination of verses we find our sign. The literary masterpiece, dramatic art profound, in its verses a melodious, profound sound. It's a symphony of emotions, whisper of delight. In the poetry and drama we find our sight. In the footsteps of great scholars we tread, in their wisdoms and guidance our path is spread. They provide insights, knowing so wide, their radiant minds are our eternal guide. Seeking the six philosophies unfold, a powerful discourse as the stories are told. Each view and perspective a profound discourse. In the realms of philosophy, the truth we endorse. With a single hand, he breaks the ego's might. As the wisdom he imparts brings us to light. The Vedanta, his nectar so divine. In the joy of understanding we sip the wine. A weapon of the reasons he wields with grace, clearing the doubts in the wisdom's space. He is the guardian of knowledge's land. With his mighty hand he takes his stand. I bow to you, O Guru, so wise. Your teachings like a mirror for our eyes. In your wisdom and grace we confide. In your shelter our doubts subside. Like collyrium to the eyes, your knowledge we greet. In your vision our perspectives are complete. With you as our guide we find a way. In the breeze of wisdom we will forever stay. As the Chindamani, a gem so rare, your stories the world's wonder to bear. In your garden so new we play, with the wisdom blossoms our hearts sway. In your presence all virtues shine. In your blessings life's joys entwine. Your embodiment of purity's grace. In your company we find our place. My heart's true Guru, the one who frees. From the samsara we seek the keys. Your exceptional guidance with utmost care. To the path of discernment we lovingly declare. Like anointment to the eyes we have made, with your guidance our vision is set. Now we must dwell where you reside. In the treasure of wisdom we will forever confide. To your story let us dwell deep, for it is source of all marvels we keep. The saga on oasis for our thirst. In the tree of wisdom it is the first. In the realm of knowledge you are the root. With your teachings our minds are astute. The laws of dharma you unfold in your verses. The words mysteries are told. In the place where all ageless stories reside, in the epic of Mahabharata, your tales our guide. We know not a birthplace, not so divine. In Vyasa's writing, we have found our shine. This poet is our praise, our tribute sincere. For the Guru of literature we revere. From the spring of the wisdom, the essence so pure, in the charm of verses we find allure. This unique message, a beacon to see. Saraswati blesses this scientific decree. And the great Mahapodhi so sublime, in the lap of knowledge we find our time. To the Seka, the all-knowing, with each thought, to elegant one, in the verses he taught. To him who adorn all so divine, in the splendor of wisdom our hearts incline. In these splendid scriptures our hearts unite, stories of life supreme, eternal light. As Vyasa's vision illuminate our way, we find in wisdom Hidayah's a brighter day. In the land where only nectar flows, the Gita story, with the wisdom it grows. In the dialogue between Shri and Arjuna, we see the king of obstacles, his dominion's decree. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
प्रिय मित्रांनो, ही YouTube साईट सादर करताना आम्हाला अतिशय आनंद होत आहे. या YouTube साईटवर तुम्हाला आगळे, वेगळे, रोचक, वेधक, वाचनीय आणि काहीसे रोमॅन्टिक, जीवनाशी प्रत्यक्ष जोडणारे साहित्य जसे कथा, कादंबऱ्या, कविता, वैचारिक लेख तुमच्या भेटीला येणार आहेत. तुम्ही ही YouTube साईट अवश्य लाईक करा आणि सबस्क्राईब करा. तुमच्या जीवलग मित्रांना ही YouTube साईट फॉरवर्ड करायला विसरू नका. धन्यवाद.